You are listening to the World Ozone Day podcast produced by UNDP Malaysia. The Montreal Protocol is largely recognized as one of the most successful international environmental treaties in the world, becoming the first in the history of the United Nations to achieve universal ratification. My name is Fong. Today on our show, I'm joined by Titus and Ami, Environment Analyst and Project Assistant from the Chemicals, Waste and Ozone Protection Team of UNDP Malaysia. They will be our guests today as we talk about the history of the Montreal Protocol and how this global treaty has successfully protected the environment and human health and ensure a smooth and sustainable transition for relevant industrial sectors in the past 34 years. To start off our conversation today, Titus, perhaps you could share with us what World Ozone Day and the Montreal Protocol is all about.
Sure, Fong Yun. So World Ozone Day is celebrated on the 16th of September every year to commemorate the signing of the Montreal Protocol on substances that deplete the ozone layer, which took place on the same date back in 1987. So the Montreal Protocol was established actually in response to the discovery of a hole in the ozone layer somewhere between the 1970s and 80s, and its connection to anthropogenic activities involving the use of substances now known as ozone-depleting substances, or ODS, such as chlorofluorocarbons or CFCs, HCFCs and halons, etc., which are commonly used as refrigerants in air conditioners and fridges, and also other applications such as fire extinguishers, aerosols, and others. So this discovery was actually very significant because the ozone layer protects the Earth from excessive exposure to harmful ultraviolet radiation emitted from the sun, which in turn enables all of us, humans, animals, and ecosystems alike, to live life on Earth as we know it today.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. What about the goal of the Montreal Protocol, and can you please share with us its achievement thus far?
So the aim of the Montreal Protocol is actually to regulate, control, and eventually phase out the production, consumption, and use of ODS in all relevant industrial sectors worldwide, based on an agreed phase-out timetable for both developed and developing nations respectively. As you might imagine, this is a huge task, so to facilitate this objective, a fund called the Montreal Protocol Multilateral Fund, or MLF, was established to provide technical assistance and support specifically for developing countries to help them achieve compliance. So far, implementation has shown very encouraging results, I would say, where, according to the United Nations Environment Programme, approximately 98.6% of ODS consumption has already been phased out globally. And the ozone layer, based on recent data, has been showing signs of recovery in the last 2 decades and is projected to return to baseline levels by the year 2050. In addition to that, the protocol has also contributed significantly to global climate change mitigation efforts, avoiding an estimated 135 billion tons of carbon dioxide equivalent emissions from the years 1990 to 2010, since most ODS substances also contribute adversely towards global temperature rises. But most of all, the Montreal Protocol is the first international environmental treaty, along with the Vienna Convention for the Protection of the Ozone Layer, to achieve universal ratification, and it is often considered among the most successful environmental agreements to date due to its global acceptance and effectiveness of implementation thus far.
That's exciting to know that the Montreal Protocol has been a great success at the global level. I guess our audience would also be interested to know more about how the Montreal Protocol directly affects our lives at a more personal level. So can you please share more about this, Titus?
At a personal level, okay, that's an interesting one. So I think sometime back in May 2009, the NASA Goddard Space Flight Center, in collaboration with the Johns Hopkins University and other agencies, I believe, they presented a hypothetical projection of the future state of the ozone layer had the Montreal Protocol not come into force to regulate and control the use of ODS globally. So using computer model predictions, Their results showed that by the year 2064, nearly 2/3 of the Earth's ozone layer would have been depleted, and average UV radiation levels on the Earth's surface would have increased dramatically. In some cases, at mid-latitudes, the increase would have been approximately threefold. So this would have subsequently led to a rise in skin cancer and eye cataract rates, global temperature fluctuations, and potentially detrimental effects on ecosystems and even the natural environment. So in this context, the protocol has certainly benefited the world at large on the socio-economic front, where the United Nations Environment Programme again estimates that about 2 million cases of skin cancer are expected to be prevented each year by 2030, and roughly 460 billion US dollars worth of damages to agriculture, to fisheries, and material damage will be averted based on their cumulative estimates. Yeah, so from this perspective, the protocol has certainly helped us on a more personal level as well.
Ami, you have been working on the ground to assist local SMEs in their efforts to phase out the use of ODS in their operations. Can you give us some examples on how the Montreal Protocol affects businesses?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Fong Yun. And first of all, thank you for having me in this session. The Montreal Protocol has actually supported all relevant ODS consuming industries that have been directly impacted by the implementation and requirements of the protocol. One such example that I can give is the polyurethane or PU foam manufacturing sector. Montreal Protocol Multilateral Fund, or MLF, has committed to provide funding and technical support to the eligible companies so that it can help them with the transition towards the use of non-ODS substances in their operations, and therefore allowing them to continue their businesses seamlessly whilst remaining in compliance with local regulatory requirement enforced due to the protocol. Another example would be the refrigerant and air conditioning or REC sector, because ODS substances are commonly used as refrigerant gases within this industry. Therefore, current appliances and equipment eventually needs to be replaced with new generation units, or at least be retrofitted in order to use the non-ODS substances. As a result to this, professional practitioners as well as the servicing technicians in this field needs to be trained and equipped with the necessary technical knowledge and skills so that they can handle these new non-ODS substances. In context of Malaysia, projects under the Montreal Protocol have been supporting a program called Certification Service Technician Program, or CSTP, where this program is able to provide upskilling and capacity building services and also a formal certification for local technicians and practitioners. This has led to improved job opportunities for the locals. Also, just to mention that some of them have even gone on to receive international employment in Japan with prominent companies. This actually shows that our certification program is also approved by another country.
Speaking of Malaysia, we understand that Malaysia has committed to ozone layer and climate protection through the ratification of the Montreal Protocol in 1989. Can you briefly share the progress and achievements of Malaysia thus far in meeting its obligations under the protocol, Titus?
Sure, so Malaysia has actually had a long history of Montreal Protocol implementation activities and has so far gone through 3 major national ODS phase-out programs. So beginning with the National ODS Country Program, which ran from 1992 to 2001. Moving on to the National CFC phase-out plan from 2002 to 2010. And most recently completed the HCFC phase-out management plan stage 1, which was from 2012 to 2016. So right now, Malaysia is in its 4th major national program and is now in stage 2 of the HCFC phase-out management plan, or more commonly known as HPMP stage 2 for short. So Montreal Protocol activities in Malaysia are led by the National Ozone Unit under the Department of Environment of Malaysia, and they are supported by the MLF and also UNDP, of course. So the National Ozone Unit oversees implementation of ODS phase-out programs as well as the nation's overall compliance to the protocol. So far, Malaysia has managed to consistently meet its targets and commitments through effective implementation of programs and enforcement of regulations. So at a national level, ODS use is monitored and controlled through a licensing and quota system for HCFC import and export by DOE in cooperation with the Royal Customs Department of Malaysia as well. So customs officers are also provided training and equipped with the necessary tools and equipment for strengthened enforcement capacities. So all this supports the various regulatory measures and guidelines enforced under the Environmental Quality Act 1974, which is continuously revised to support and remain in line with Malaysia's commitment to phase out 97.5% of HCFC consumption by year 2030 and to impose a total ban of use by the year 2040.
That sounds amazing, Titus. What about the achievements at an industrial level, Ami?
I agree that Malaysia has actually achieved a lot under the protocol as per what mentioned by Titus just now. By the way, at an industrial level, the Montreal Protocol projects has assisted ODS consuming sectors by building an enabling environment to support their transition towards the use of non-ODS substances within their respective processes, applications, and also operations. For example, the current HPMP2 project focuses on supporting two specific sectors, namely the PU foam manufacturing and also the refrigerant and air conditioning or REC sector. For the foam manufacturing sector, a total of 67 eligible SMEs will be given financial support as well as the technical assistance to replace the use of HCFC in manufacturing processes to non-ODS alternatives. While for the REC sector, emphasis is placed on increasing the capacities of local technicians and practitioners, especially in the handling and management skills of ODS alternatives refrigerants. This is primarily done through the Certification Service Technician Program that I have mentioned earlier, a certification system that run by Authorized Training Centers or ATC nationwide to provide upskilling and capacity building services so that the skill sets of local technicians remains relevant and future-proof in accordance with the changing times. For your information, to date, the CSTP program has certified over 9,000 technicians and has produced about 300 master trainers.
So on top of what Ami has just mentioned, I'd also just like to add that the National Ozone Unit's sustained efforts in this regard have actually been very commendable, where in 2018, the NOU actually received the United Nations Malaysia Award for Sustainability in recognition of its critical role in ozone protection work, in addition to helping Malaysia exceed its HCFC phase-out target in HPMP Stage 1. So coming back to today, latest consumption data as of year 2020 showed that Malaysia's total ODS consumption was, just bear with me here, it was about 228 ozone depleting potential tons, which is well below the maximum allowable consumption level for year 2020 of 335 ozone depleting potential tons. This is based on Malaysia's agreed phase-out schedule. So I guess you can say that Malaysia remains firmly on track to achieve its HPMP Stage 2 targets by the end of 2023. So yeah, I just wanted to add that point.
What about COVID-19? Has the pandemic impacted ODS phase-out progress in Malaysia? And what mitigation plans have been put in place to assist business owners to overcome their economical struggles, Ami?
Yeah, just like many other industries, SMEs within the PU foam manufacturing sector have also not been spared from the adverse economic impact resulting from the nationwide MCOs. As MCOs is imposed, they have not been allowed to operate under this current circumstances. Many enterprises within this industry are micro companies with small-scale operations. Some are family-owned businesses and is operating out of humble premises. It is sad actually because significant number of SMEs have had to close down their businesses entirely, while many others have had to delay their conversion to non-ODS technology as business survivability is their number one priority during this challenging time. Well, actually, the current deadline for these SMEs to phase out the using of HCFC 141B is 31st December 2021. However, seeing that many companies will be unable to meet this deadline due to unforeseen circumstances, the OE will negotiate for an extension to this deadline to give these SMEs more time to complete their conversion project respectively. As for the rec sector, since hands-on and in-person technical training session have not been able to be undertaken as per usual business, the project has plans to repurpose a portion of the training budget allocation, which is to produce video training modules, which later will be used by ATCs nationwide. This training video will be incorporated into their training plans moving forward. So hopefully, this will provide the ATCs an effective engagement tools to continue the capacity building activities virtually amidst this hard time.
Thank you so much, Ami. To end this podcast, Titus, what is the way forward and UNDP's vision for future Montreal Protocol activities?
HPMP Stage 2 is scheduled to complete by the end of 2023, upon which Malaysia would have achieved almost 50% cumulative reduction in national HCFC consumption against the baseline, based on current performance and progress, that is. So in the meantime, project planning and preparation for HPMP Stage 3 is also expected to kickstart towards the end of this year in view of an anticipated project start date of early 2024. For HPMP Stage 3, phase-out activities will primarily focus on the rec sector, as almost all remaining HCFC consumption will be from that sector by then. So as for UNDP's vision for the project, I believe UNDP very much looks forward to continuing its collaboration and years-long partnership with DOE to sustain the good work that has been done over the past decades, and also hopes for Malaysia to continue successfully meeting its commitments under the Montreal Protocol, both now and also in the future.
Thank you, Titus and Ami, for your wonderful sharing.
Thank you, Fong
Thank you,
Yun.
Fong Yun.
And that brings us to the end of this episode.